Last week we talked a bit about a vase that was in the that was on eBay that we felt was a reproduction. I think a lot of you agreed that it probably was, but at a glance, it looks good, and that's how people get into trouble buying Chinese porcelain, especially off the internet, because they don't see they're not you're often not aware of what you're not seeing or what you are seeing that shouldn't be there. And I want to go through a few examples that came up pretty recently, and I've had some inquiries about people have asked. I had one guy actually call me about it because he was very confused about a lot that's on the online right now. And I'm going to go through a number of examples because for a long time, the reproduction market pretty much contained itself to the initially not so much to export wares, but more towards market period wares, copying rare, Sung examples, rare, Ming examples, rare, Yuan, Qing, Kangxi, Yongchen, Qinlong, imperial wares, palace wares, things that were made at the imperial atelier, Fenkai pieces, all that. And they've been reproducing those all now for quite a while. And as we've seen in the last few years, they've been really pumping out a lot of transitional wares. And a lot of this, of course, comes on the heel of the release of the big tomb from the fabulous Butler collection over in England. And now they are definitely moving into the area of China trade. And they're moving into export wares of the 18th century and the early 19th century. And these are pieces that are not especially valuable relative to the $1 million pieces, but examples that sell for anywhere from $600 or $800 up to maybe 5 or 10,000. And this seems to be the sort of the sweet spot they're aiming for now, because if you can make a plate in a contemporary setting in China today and get it into the market successfully and sell it for $800 for one plate, or $1,000 or $500, and it only costs you 50 or $60 to make, it's a pretty good margin. And I noticed that a number of them have turned up, and then I've had inquiries, and I'm going to go through some examples of copies. This is one set of copies that has appeared in recent days. It's a garniture set, very familiar type. We've all seen them. Many of us we've owned them, we've sold them to customers and so forth. And these are the 3 jars and 2 beakers and so forth. It's a very, very popular thing. And there's a tendency when you see this many of them, you go, oh, that's amazing. Look at that. That's a great looking set. Estimated $2,000 to $3,000. They're advertising it as 18th century. It is brand new. This is a brand new set. It has absolutely no age. The sale isn't until December 28th, and it's happening at Tenmuku. And Tenmuku Auction sells real stuff, but they also are fairly indiscriminate. They will sell anything, and their dating in general cannot be relied on, and this is a classic case of why. All right, these are blatant copies. I'm going to show you some side-by-sides of these, and we're going to focus on some of the design elements that are on these pieces and what's wrong with them, the way the faces are drawn and how the diaper patterns are done and some other things. The next thing is this appeared, and this is a pair of the pattern. Many of you will recognize it because most people who collect Chinese export porcelain, this particular pattern and the previous pattern that we saw in the garniture set with these gilt diaper borders running around them is one of the first pieces of 18th century export wares many of us ever bought. It was for me back in the late 70s, early 80s. I bought a punch bowl like one we're about to look at, and they're just wonderful. They made mugs. But first thing is they didn't generally do them in rouleau forms. The rouleau vase is the shape of this. And of course, they did make them in China, but they didn't make them on export porcelain generally. These were used in the Kangxi period for blue and white and enamel wares, and then onward into the Qing dynasty they were produced, but not generally as export pieces. All right, and these are rather unusual. And if you ever see calligraphy like this, and it's supposed to be on a piece of export ware, be very suspicious. Be very suspicious. But people are going to think that's amazing. They have look at that. They have calligraphy on them and so forth. These are brand new. And even though the bottoms of them, they don't look too bad, but they're awfully white and they're awfully unfinished looking. That's the only thing that tips it off. These are little things that can be corrected. But the main thing to look for is the pattern and the enameling, and is it authentic? Does it look proper? Does this look proper? The way these sort of diaper or chevron devices, are they done properly? The answer is no, and we're going to get to some side-by-sides in a second. And the next thing is this plate. There are 2 of these in a particular auction taking place out in Nevada. I think it's Zed's. This is a brand new plate. This plate has absolutely no age, and they've got two of them in the sale. They've got this one and they've got this one side by side. And when you look at them at first glance, they look pretty good. They're flashy. They're gold. They've got puce in them. They have grisaille. They've got gilding. They've got figures. They got everything going on. The enamels are pleasing. The back of the plate. When do you see the back of it? All right. Not bad. Pretty close to how they shaped the backs of 18th century China trade plates. Not bad at all. And the other plate looks just as good. The problem is that this is another plate that has the same back, okay, that's in this sale, but this one is supposed to be sort of a Yongchen period plate. Now they didn't bother dating this one. They didn't date it. They're just calling it Famille Rose. So they're not representing it as an 18th century piece. They're just putting it up as Chinese Famille Rose porcelain plate, which is the truth. All right, so you can't really accuse them of cheating, but they know that it's representing itself as an authentic example because the estimate they put on it, estimated $500 to $600. That's a lot of money for an 8-inch plate, 9-inch, 8-inch, 8.5-inch plate that has no age. Obviously, if they put it up for what its age should be, as modern, this is a $25 to $30 dish. So that's one of the problems. But you'll notice that this gives you a really good idea of how good they are at getting at copying these. Okay, here's the back of the Yongchen looking plate. This is the back of the late 18th century looking plate. And then you have the other one that has the same back on it. All right, and the only way that can happen is if they're all made at the same kiln at the same time, done by the same people, same colors, same glazes, same everything. All right, now, moseying along. Oh, this is the auction. Zed's Art Gallery Corp. I looked at this sale incidentally, and I couldn't see anything in there that was really authentic. There might be a Canton dish or something, but everything in the sale is a reproduction, so stay away from it. And they also have this in the sale. And we're going to get to the side-by-sides in a minute, but I just want to do this. This is a well-known style done during the Yongchen period, borderless, with a figure riding a spotted deer, with an attendant and so forth. It's brand new. It's ruby backed. It's got a great look to it. It's brand new. It's fake, and it already has a bid. It's up to $300. This is a small dish. It's about 7 inches in diameter, 7 inches in diameter, and right now it's up to $300 for the bid. And I'm gonna bet it goes up another couple bids anyway. It might even hit the estimate or go above it. And that's too bad. All right, now back to reality. This is a Rockefeller pattern plate. And we're going to use some of these to compare to the enameling on some of those other pieces. And this is one of those early punch bowls that so many of you owned, and I have owned certainly, and I bet a lot of you have owned some ceramic of export ware in this pattern at some point. This kind of bowl, they made a lot of them, and they're beautiful, and they're still popular today, and they're still worth anywhere, and depending on condition, depending on size and condition, they're worth anywhere from $1,000 up to $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 if they're really big and in mint condition and of good color. So it's all about quality, condition, and size, and some other Rockefeller pieces. All right, so let's pop open some pictures. All right, now we're going to start with the diaper pattern piece. No, we'll start with those. No, we'll do the diaper pattern first. Go ahead. There we go. All right, here we have it. All right, the one on the left is that bowl we were just looking at, and the one on the right is a modern copy from that garniture set. And the difference is pretty striking. Here you see how these diapers are drawn in the gilding, and this is how they did them here. All right, obviously not right, but at a glance they look pretty good. These have this rococo border going around it with these sort of volutes that you see on lots of Chinese wares. And here you have it, but it's sort of in this grayish blue and not terribly well organized, sort of clunky and running around the outside of it. That's one of the problems that they encounter with these. All right, and then you have with the figures, the one in the center is a modern piece that's on the side of one of those garniture vases, and on the right is a Rockefeller pattern dish, and on the left is the decoration from another Rockefeller pattern dish. The difference is that the one on the right, the Rockefeller pattern dish on the right, came from a particularly fine service known for having very, very, very bright, strong enamels, unusually strong enamels. and it sold for over $1 million. It was an amazing service. It was at Christie's a few years ago. And the way the one on the left is done is the colors, the softer colors are more typical of the typical service. But you look at the one on the right, and then you look at the one on the left, and then the one in the center, which is the reproduction. And if you look at it carefully, you'll see that the coloration, facial expressions, tonality, all of that are decidedly different. And because the one in the middle is brand new, and that's the bottom line to it. The Rockefeller pieces, these Famille Rose pieces, they do vary. They do come in a range of colors sometimes, or in a range of qualities, but they never have this sort of muddy, uncrisp appearance. And that's one of the walls they're hitting on some of these pieces. All right. And then you have this one. This is, again, the Rockefeller pattern plate, very crisply painted, very fine detail, nice colors. And this is an exceptional service, I granted. But notice the care that the border is done with. All of it. The borders are always so neatly and meticulously done. And then you look at the border on this, and there's this rather strange gold sort of quasi Greek key collision running on all around it on the outside. All right, now let's see here. All right, there's this, there's that. That's the Rockefeller plate. All right, let's pop this down. Pop that down. I wanted to show, back to the screen. Hold on a second. Here, the border. You'll notice here that the border comes up, but it's this outer border here, this over sort of lacy looking vine arrangement is sort of colliding all over the edging. And that would you'd never see that on Chinese work. You'd never see this kind of messy work along the edges. And especially up here, it's particularly noticeable up here. Very clumsy, very poor quality work. The other thing that's wrong with this plate is this grisaille decoration. It's not gray enough. It's not black enough. It's the wrong color. The puce decoration is okay, but not detailed enough. And then you have this Famille Rose with the sort of splash in the center and going to white on the tips. It's the wrong colors and so forth. There's a lot wrong with this plate, and it's got a bid. Somebody's already up to $300 for it. Not and that is the big problem with these pieces. Now, back over here. We'll pull this one up. There we go. There are these figures. This is one of the ones that we pulled the sample off of. Okay, and again, muddy, not defined enough. And then the sky here. This is much too even. Looks like it was applied, in an Earl Scheib auto body parts, auto paint store, just not done properly. And then when you come back over to these, you see the same sort of excessiveness in certain colors. Here you have this excessive purple background, and you have again, these sort of dead-looking, expressionless faces, clunky robes. The vases are the wrong shape. They have calligraphy on them. But the diaper pattern on this is pretty close to the authentic. The diaper pattern they did on this one is much better than the diaper pattern they did on the other piece. If you compare that diaper pattern to this one, it's not bad. This is the original. Those are the copies. They don't have any wear on them, of course, but not bad, not bad. But things that should jump out at you are for example, is the color of this overglazed blue, that cobalt up there. It's too bright. And of course, the calligraphy looks completely out of place in this sort of, I don't know what you call this. It's like four persimmons overlaying one another or something. I'm not sure what those are supposed to be, but at any rate, this is the problem, and it's a growing problem. And what I can only suggest is that whenever you're looking at something that you're thinking of buying, like if you're looking at this really nice looking Rockefeller plate, use it as a guide to understand other pieces. There's lots of Rockefeller pattern stuff, lots of fine export wear out there available on the market, and you always want to compare it the pieces you're looking at to other known original pieces. All right, and this set was in pretty rough shape. I mean, these handles have been broken off and glued back probably 10 times and so forth. But the color and decoration, facial expressions, borders, gilding, and all that, the overall quality, you can still see it. You can still see the quality that was there originally because the edges are nicely defined. Everything is carefully placed. The colors are vibrant. They didn't forget to put the legs on the table in some cases. You see those on the reproductions. They just leave stuff out mysteriously. And here is that Rockefeller service. If you want to see what it looks like, that was the original service. Sold for $1,087,500 in 2017. Quite an extraordinary thing. And I think it might have actually come from the Rockefeller family. I'm not sure. I don't remember. It might have been one of their de-accessions. And enormous thing. It just says American private collector since 1978. I think it was one of the Rockefellers. But at any rate, it's a heck of a service. But keep this all in mind. We're going to do more of these as they come along, but be very, very careful. There are copies of Chinese export wares coming up on the market. They are getting bids because people aren't expecting them. It's not something you're on guard for because they haven't been an issue. But always look at shape, form, style, and compare it to other known examples before you plunk down a dime or before you place a bid. All right, and save yourself a lot of heartache. It is a growing problem, and hopefully they'll get caught enough and they'll stop doing it and move along. And the last thing, there was one other plate that I wanted to mention, and I don't know if I got to it yet. I didn't get to it. Hold on. This plate. This is also in the sale at Zed's out in Henderson. This is also a fake. And I did have a couple. I had two inquiries on this plate. They wanted to know is it Tongchi or Hongshan or is it Guangzhou or what is it? This is brand new. That's what this is. This is brand new. And if you look at it, you'll be able to you can generally see it if you know what to look for. The first thing you look for is the colors of the yellow here. Jumps out at you. It's way too lemony looking. It just doesn't look right. The facial expressions, they all look the same. There's no tinting of the skin around the eyes. The drawing of the faces, they look almost, I don't know, they look goofy, I guess is the way to say it. They don't look right. And here you have a group of people, again, identical. They look like dittos. Same facial expression, same facial expression, same facial expression looking in the other direction, same facial expression, and it's a guy. And then you have this rather odd figure in the foreground. I want to share this. Get over to this. This figure here. The armless figure. You have all these figures on the plate. We'll get back to them in a second. All have showing fingers and arms and hands. And then you have this poor woman. And I don't think this was intentional. I think when they were drawing this, they messed up. And they sort of put these like giant boxing glove arms on her. And when you look at them in proportion, all the other ones were done fairly well proportionally. The arms to the body, the shoulders, and this one, I don't know what this thing is. It hangs almost down to her knees, and it's I think they made it to look like it's a sleeve. There's the overall shot. There it is. I think they were trying to make it look like a big fluffy sleeve that was too long, but it's not done properly, obviously. And if you see things like that, be immediately concerned, be immediately alarmed and say, well, it doesn't look quite right, does it? And the rest of it, the colors are just a little too bright. There's this sort of peculiar gold sky above it and so forth. So there's lots wrong with this plate. And then if you flip the plate over, there, you have this absolutely perfect snow white foot rim with very neatly placed flying bats in outside of this sort of typical overglazed red seal that you would see from a plate that would have been done between 1840, 1850, late Daguan period, all the way up to maybe up to the Guangzhou period, and they just throw that mark on there to make it look convincing. But this is another type of fake that they're making, and I have seen these before, similar plates, similar style, and it will probably sell. I've got it bookmarked. They have it estimated at $800 to $900. It's only about 7.5, 8 inches in diameter, and if the starting bid is 400, don't you be the starting bid on this. All right, but that's how they're doing it, and I think it's rather dishonest to be presenting this stuff with these big estimates, because the implication is that they are authentic, and Zed's is just, the auction house is just trying to pretend they don't know these are brand new. They are obviously brand new. The sale, from what I can see, is all brand new stuff with big estimates, hoping to catch a few people. What it looks like. It's too bad. All right. Those are my thoughts and opinions on it. Have a great week, and we'll be back in a few days with the regular video. All right. Bye-bye.